What's up, guys and gals? And I'm sorry, I know it's been a hot minute since we have been back here for Record of Ragnarok Season 3, the final episode, the season finale, but there's a good reason for that. Actually, there's one good reason and one just excuse. Let's go with the excuse first. The excuse is, I just didn't find the time. But that does bleed into the second part, which is my good reason is there's so much to talk about. I have an entire list right here of topics. I know it's all in pencil, so you guys can't really, see it exactly. And my penmanship is goddamn awful. But I have a list of things I want to discuss about this episode, and I knew that it needed that discussion. I didn't want to stop this at the 9-minute mark and not cover so many different things that warrant discussion, that warrant talking about, that should be talked about, that should be praised in this season finale. Season 3, Episode 15, A Clash of Souls, is goddamn good. Can we just, straight out of the gate be like, it's a good bloody season finale, it's a good bloody episode? And I'm not even talking, there is not even a note, by the way, about the halfway end credit scene about the starting of Susanoo versus, spoiler alert, Susanoo versus Okita. There's not even a note on this whole elongated page. There's not a single note about that. That's how crazy this episode goes. Every 2 minutes, there is something to talk about. So let's just get right into it. So, alright. Long and short, before I even get to my notes, is that round 9 is over, right? Leonidas does fall. The gods get a W, and it kind of sucks. Overall, for a lot of reasons. And we will discuss that. We will discuss Leonidas as a character in a moment. But the long and short of it is that Leonidas losing inspires Okita to go forward into the next round as the representative fighter. And we also do some subplot stuff with Siegfried in the background with Odin, Beelzebub, and Buddha. And Apollo really did get to fight all out. Much different in two respects from the manga, which I think really, once again, probably, in my opinion, still one of the worst rounds, if not still the worst round in Ragnarok. But the anime elevated this round well beyond what it deserved. But I'm here for it. I'm 100% here for it. So, let's go over a few of these notes that I have here. So the first thing is, of course, the damage to Apollo, which was pointed out by a good friend of mine, Mark, the top fabricator and stuff like that. He pointed it out in the last episode review, saying that when that happened in episode 14, if I went back and checked the manga, and this, honestly, is something that I totally missed, is he only got damaged on the arm. He didn't falter. He didn't go face plant and was near death himself during the exchange when he fought against Leonidas in the manga. It was much more one-sided, where he only damaged his shooting arm, and at the very least he was like, okay, I can't use this arm anymore, but I'm fine. There was no shot through some major organs, the heart, etc., etc. So these changes, which of course bleed into episode 15, need to be remarked. And thank you very much, Mark, I hope you watch this review as well, because shout out to you, my guy, for telling me this, because to me it was not necessarily a subtle change, but it was enough. It was well done. The reason I bring this up is twofold. A, to give Mark his greetings. Good for you, Mark. But also, just to straight up say, the fact that I read the manga, And I don't have eidetic memory and stuff like that, guys. Like, I'll be real with you, and I got a lot going on in my life, so I'm not remembering every single instance, every single line said by every single character. But the fact that I just accepted, oh yeah, I remember the showdown, and did not, it was so well done by the anime writers to say, hey, we want to make this a more even fight, but we don't want to deviate or take it too far one way or the other from the conclusion of the fight and the direct confrontation of the fight. We just want to tweak it just enough, like 7.5, not 8. Just dial it up from a 7 to a 7.75. Okay, we're not reaching that 8 mark. It was subtle enough, but it mattered enough to make the fight seem more believable, to seem more like a fight. So 100%, that's my first note here. And I'm going down going, yeah, that actually made the fight so much more impactful because Apollo, not once but twice, is on his ass. And the only reason Leonidas is not following up is because he can barely stand himself. That's the only reason. The first time, yeah, no, manga and anime, go in there, jump in, and crush his ass. You moron. But the second time here feels so much more genuine and feels so much more earned because both fighters can barely stand on their feet, you know. So 100%, that's the big one. Then making it more of an even fight, of course. That's my second note. Making this more of an even fight. Now, I'm the first one to tell all of you guys that, and I've said this not just in Record of Ragnarok anime and manga reviews, I've said this across the channel wide, is that just because you have a tournament or a 1v1 fight does not mean it has to be a high diff fight, using power scaling logic here. Does not need to be high diff for it to be a great fight. It does not need to be high diff to be in general. Every fight does not need to be high diff. And it also does not mean it needs to be a curb stomp either. There can be such a thing as a mid-tier fight where one character overall is just superior. This happened in the very first fight of Ragnarok. Lubu versus Thor. Lubu was an exceptional fighter, and for the most part would probably win against most of the other gods. Against Poseidon, against Shiva, against, Susanoo. He probably would have won. Lubu would have probably beat most of the gods we've been introduced to so far in the rounds. Just straight up. But he was up against Thor, who was every bit his equal and better in every stat. And he lost. It was not a no-diff fight like people tend to believe. It was not a low-diff fight. It was a mid-diff fight. Thor had to put in effort like he had never had to have done before, which right there means not no-diff, not low-diff. And he managed to do this. And once he ended up using his full might, Lubu was no match. But he still had the respect for Lubu, right? So the fact of the matter is that when we go down that road, when we go down that chain of events, we can see this bleeding into what round 9 should have been. Because it's not a problem that round 9 in the manga, and there's the reason the changes in the anime, that's why it all comes full circle. The changes in the anime were necessary. It's not that having a mid-diff to low-diff fight is a bad thing in this anime, in this manga. The problem is that you took I'm just going to straight up say it, a no-name god. He's not Zeus, Hades, or Poseidon, so he's no name. I'm sorry. Yes, he's one of the Olympians. I know that. You know that. But most normal people don't know that. You know Harry, Ron, and Hermione. People who don't read Harry Potter don't know who Neville or Luna are either. You see my point? You know Han, Luke, and Leia. You don't know who Lando Calrissian is. It's that idea. And the fact of the matter is that Apollo is a no-name god versus one of the most anticipated, hyped up, and beloved military leaders in history, put on paper, given fantastic characterization in Record of Ragnarok. However, still loses. And loses in a mid fight. That was narratively a mistake. That was the wrong choice. Because we didn't give Leonidas this bigger than life Lubu Sky Eater attack. We didn't give Leonidas that. Leonidas looks weaker than Lubu. He is weaker than Lubu. That's a mistake. Because you chose to make this fighter who was hyped up and made so many people anticipated to be so great. You chose to not only not give this fighter any superpowers, you know, like Adam, like Lubu, like Sasaki, who had superhuman abilities. Leonidas at the end of the day was just Captain America. But without the plot armor. He wasn't Superman, he was Captain America. At the end of the day, just a human. Batman with no prep time. You know? A great fighter, a great martial artist, a Spartan. But that's it. And then you put him against a god, and it's just like, the level of disrespect was unappreciated by most people who read Round 9. Myself included. Considering that most of the fan base, since Round 1, since the list was released, we assumed Leonidas versus Odin. That was established as a rule. Like, that's gotta be the dude. You know? So, I say all this to go forth and say that the anime corrected so many things in making this fight even. Making this fight high diff, making Apollo on death's door, at the very least, doesn't fix everybody's gripe, but at the very least, this was not the round to make a mid-diff fight. The Tesla Beelzebub round was the time to do that. The time before that was the Buddha, Zerafuku, which, once again, don't introduce Hiruden, and you have a low diff round, like you wanted. But then they introduced Hiruden, and they made it a high diff fight. Like, they purposely made every fight a high diff fight, and then all of a sudden, they choose this moment with a beloved character, probably the most anticipated human fighter in the series, and then they give him a mid-diff defeat. Why did they think that would go over well? I have no idea, but the anime chose to tweak it enough just to... It still doesn't... All it does, it lessens the hurt. It takes it from here down to here. It's an acceptable level. You know what I mean? So, kudos. I say all this to say kudos to the anime department and the executives and whoever made the decision to say, hey, you know, Leonidas got done dirty. Fan favorite. Anticipated for fucking years. And done really dirty. How about we, lessen that blow as much as we can? Let's tweak this, and this. And let's make him seem like he really did go all out and nearly beat Apollo. Let's do that, because it's not going to take away from Apollo's victory, who is, once again, it's not Odin, it's not Zeus, it's a no-name god at the end of the day. It's a god that only if you know Greek mythology and watched the movie Hercules as a child, you know that fucking name. So, there's no reason that we need to, like, it doesn't take away from Apollo, and it only improves, you know, our Spartan King. So, at the end of the day, I think this was a phenomenal decision, and yeah, it all comes full circle. I'm sorry for that huge roundabout double circle tangent, guys, but it all comes back, and I hope you guys followed along long enough to reach that point. This is what I'm talking about, the season finale. We got a lot. That's only 3 points out of like 9, 10, 11 I have here, so let's get into the next one. So now next up is, of course, Leonidas' speech, which happens a little bit differently in the manga and stuff like that. It's the same speech, it just happens a little bit earlier, but it works better here because the speech about, you know, humans don't choose how they're born, how they die, and stuff like that, but I'm just here to be a warrior king sort of idea. It works in the manga. It's such a holy shit right here in the chest feel in the anime, that music. Humans, we don't choose how they are born, and then we see a shot of Jack looking melancholy. We don't see his eyes, of Jack hanging his head, because he knows Jack has been changed by Heracles. And fucking, you know, we see Herlock, or I forget her name, the Valkyrie, I believe her name's Herlock, and she just sort of looks, side-eyes Jack, knowing that that's exactly, it's like, humans are not chosen the way they're born. Like, you were born to a whore, you know, in a whorehouse, and a prostitute house, and stuff like that. It's like, that sucks. It's like, humans do not decide where they are born, or how they are born. And she's giving him like this pity look and stuff like that. And it's like, oh, that's really sad. And then and we're not chosen, you know, but we choose how we live. And then we see Sasaki, who of course won his victory over Poseidon, and the ultimate loser, as we already know his story. And then how we die. And then we see Okita looking so melancholy down at the ground, who has been watching these fights with nothing but vigor and excitement, like a child, because he's only 15. He's a teenager. He's a fucking child, and he's sitting there being so excited. But now he's just like, oh yeah, like we choose how we don't choose how we're born, but we choose how to live, and we choose how we die. And we see two out of 3, but then the third one we see Okita just being like, you know. And that music, that fucking score is just hitting every note as they flash to each character. The bass just boom, it does its thing at each moment. It's subtle, but it's there. It's goddamn beautiful. It's goddamn perfect. You couldn't do that scene better. So when people tell me that Record Ragnarok, the anime, is not good, or it's not worth to watch this stuff, and it's a PowerPoint and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, first season jitters. Get over it. This shit elevates. Because round 9 fucking sucked in the manga. I'm straight up saying it. Worst round, and it was bad. Now it's good. The anime made it good. You know? And now we're into this. So, we see all this. You know, that speech is amazing. It's a highlight of the episode. And then we still see that Leonidas is... Alright, so my next point, I'm just checking my notes here. Leonidas is disappointing as a fighter still. The anime did not fix that because they didn't actually change any attacks or anything like that, or anything going forward. Leonidas should have had some fucking Atom level ability. We wanted him to be a Super Saiyan. We wanted him to be a Goku. We wanted him to be an Atom, a Lubu. We wanted Sky Eater. We wanted the Eyes of the Lord. We wanted Leonidas to have something, and he had nothing. And at the end of the day, he was on the back foot. In the manga, even worse. And still, that bitter taste is still in our mouth because we expected Leonidas to be Atom 2.0. And that was expected since round 2. And we were left disappointed. I was left disappointed. I get it. There's subverting expectations and then just straight up disappointing fans. And straight up, they disappointed us. That being said, character. I want you guys to think about the character for a moment and how unhappy you are at the characterization of Leonidas. Give him Eyes of the Lord, Sky Eater, and all the bits. Give him the power of Zeus. How unhappy are you? Tell me he wins round 9. How actually unhappy are you with his attitude and his lines? His voice actor, his characterization, his attitude, like how he portrays himself. Do you hate it? I know some people don't like the fact that he went into the American camo army getup, sort of doing like a Navy SEAL look. Fine, Danny. I get that. And I'm more for the sort of the Roman Greek sort of aesthetic. But outside of that, did you actually hate Leonidas' characterization? Because his motivations and his characterization, I don't think were that bad. I think that because they lessened the blows about what Round 9 meant, and because of the music and the score and stuff like that, I think they elevated Leonidas as a character so people can look past the fact that they didn't like that he was in camo, and the fact that that he lost, and the fact that he didn't have an ultimate attack like Sky Eater or Eyes of the Lord or Sasuke's ultimate defense or anything like that. The fact that he didn't have any superpowers, which he totally deserved, but the fact, I think that we all can look past that at this point, and if we look at him as a character, not that bad. Actually pretty good. 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10. At the very least. Let's go bottom of the barrel, 6 out of 10. I personally give him a 7.5. Where do you guys rank him? Let me know. Let me know where you rank him. Not as a fighter, but as a character. With all the bullshit, as I said, stripped away, how do you rate him? So once again, leave your Leonidas debates and questions, comments, whatever, in the description down below. I really want to get this going because I do feel like Leonidas is underappreciated as a character because he's judged so much of our expectations and his result as a fighter, not so much as a character. But that being said, I do have a few other things here on the notes to discuss. And one of them is a big change, and I think it matters a lot. And it's the fact that Python shows up worrying about Apollo, and when Apollo comes out of the gate, because the whole, I will leave these scars, and, I'm barely able to stand on my feet and stuff by Hermes command. That's all in the manga. But when he goes through the actual gates to leave the arena, Python is there, and calling back to the backstory. Once again, this little, it's like a minute and 10-second scene, but it matters so goddamn much because it ties back in, and it makes these seemingly unimportant backstories sometimes like just tie in so beautifully. All it does is tie a little ribbon a little bit tighter, make that bow a little prettier, make those flowers bloom a little more. And it just elevates. It elevates a character. It elevates the scene. So the fact that Python was there to take Apollo to the infirmary, take him to the med bay, whatever like that, and was like, Apollo, I knew you would win and stuff, but I was so worried about you, sort of idea. And the fact that he has turned Python, and then Python's the one to, oh shit, Apollo, you're literally like Leonidas nearly killed you. I need to take you to the hospital right now. Such a great addition alongside of the idea that Apollo went toe-to-toe and nearly died. Two great changes that the anime made, and that additional scene, it like 10 out of 10. Perfect. It makes me feel for Apollo, feel for Python, and adds more to Leonidas as a character, and adds more to Round 9 as a whole. So, yeah, great addition there. Okita then being inspired by Leonidas, because Okita has been there since Round 1. he has been watching these fights, and we've been seeing him because, of course, he's the mangaka's fan favorite and blah, 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 blah. So he's been watching. We've been seeing Okita watching these fights and being like, yeah, I can't wait to fight. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, he's like, I'm a kid. I'm so happy. I can't wait to go nuts. I'm the Joker of the group. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, with Leonidas' speech, the fact that they worked it in this way, where Leonidas is like, we're not told how we're born, but we do choose how we die and stuff like that. And then we get the moment where it said, like, Sasuke is like, what are you talking about? And Okita's like, I would have wished for a warrior. Like, Leonidas died a warrior, and I didn't get the opportunity. I didn't get the chance and stuff like that. And then we see, his vassal, of course, is like, yeah, I didn't get that chance either, and it sucks. Like, here are samurai, here are warriors that never got the chance to choose their death in the way that Leonidas said. And so this motivates. Okita has been watching 9 rounds of fights and always been like, oh, wow, I wonder what's going to happen. What's good on the TV? It's like, it's sort of like Michael Jordan watching game footage and then being like, fine, I'm going to do it myself. Fuck this. I'm getting out of the chair. You know what I mean? Like, he's sitting back watching this, enjoying the game until it's like, no. Enough of this. I got to teach these boys how to play ball. That's the level we're getting from Okita. That's the vibe I'm getting from Okita. Okita is done sitting on the sidelines. Leonidas inspired him. And that's what, once again, elevating round 9 because of the positioning of the speech and because of the way they changed up the order of scenes that were still in the manga, but now a couple of added little filler scenes, stretching out certain things and changing the perspective of when these scenes happen. It elevates us. Okita only wanted to fight because Leonidas, because of round 9. He's been watching this from the get-go. We've been watching him watch this, and he's never said, yeah, no, it's my turn. He's never put his foot down and said, no, Brunhilde, my turn. He's always been like, yeah, well, whatever, somebody else going to fight, cool. Got something to watch on the telly. Now it's like, no. I can't wait any longer. I need to find that warrior spirit. I need to find, I've been amped up enough. You know what I mean? So, fantastic on that regard as far as everything there. And then the final part, of course, is Buddha as Sherlock, which is hilarious. And, Tartarus does not fit the crime for Siegfried. It's like, yeah, he killed your dragon and he stole your sword and stuff, but that's Helheim. What's up with Tartarus? Plus, if he pissed you off that much, we all both know that your enemies just go, bink, zap, gone. So, Odin, what's the deal? And then, Beelzebub gets involved, Buddha's involved, Odin's involved, everybody's involved with the primordial gods. Are you trying to awaken the primordial gods? Dun dun dun! And we get the end of this. We get the end credit scene, as I said, with Susanoo and Okita and stuff like that. But my god, the amount of shit going down with this is just... It's so good. It's so good. Episode 15... I'm not going to say it might be the best episode of the season. It might be. If it's not, it's the number 2. It's a number 2 because there's just so much to love about it. There's so much implication, characterization, narrative, direction going on here and stuff like that. It just, and that score is so goddamn beautiful, and that opening theme has grown on me. That the ending theme, not so much. But the opening thing has grown on me to the point that once I reached about episode 9, I stopped skipping it. I was like, you know what? No, I'm not skipping intro. I gotta listen, because even though the visuals are pretty but very basic in there, hey, round 7, round 8, round 9, here's Brunhilde and Zeus. End of opening. The visuals are boring in that sense. The song is quite a bopper. It's quite a boom, 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 So, I like it. But yeah, that's the end of Season 3, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Sorry it's so late. It's like now at this point when this comes out, it's like 5-6 months late since it was released. So very sorry about that. I always try to keep up with this stuff, but I'm always falling behind. So, but it's here now. That's the main thing. I hope you guys enjoyed, though. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and we'll see all you people back here for season 4 when it drops. Because I'm confident that season 4 is definitely gonna happen. And when season 4 drops, I hope to be a little bit more on time with my episode-to-episode review than I was with this season. So, thanks guys so much for watching. Take care. See you next time.